From the OGS studios in Miami, Florida, it's the Obsolete Gamer Show.
Carl, what would you say is your most prized possession right now out of all the things that you've won in tournaments?
Probably the MK belt. Probably that. Or I have like 2 Evo trophies. I have a lot of trophies and medals and stuff.
Let's see that MK belt. Show that MK belt off.
I want to see that.
I need to polish it. I should make a video of me polishing this just to piss people off. But yeah, this is it. This is a belt that Rio will never see in his life, or Junior, or any of those guys, or East Coast in general. This is why everybody hated me for what probably still hates me now.
I think they'll always hate you, Carl, for that belt.
Do
and
you
who
walk
gave
into
you that
tournaments
belt?
holding that shit?
No, I don't actually. I'll probably get jumped, and they'll probably steal it from me.
And now, here are your hosts, J.A. LaRock and Ignacio.
Welcome to the Obsolete Gamer Show. I am your host, Jay LaRock, and we are happy to be here today with actor James C. Burns, whose new film, Coldwater, comes out on August 15th in theaters and on iTunes. James, thank you for joining us.
Hey, man, it's my pleasure. We had quite an adventure getting here, didn't we?
Definitely. Technology is just one of those things that you have to fight through. But, you know, it's great to be able to finally see you and hear you.
Yeah, thanks, man. Good to be here. Glad you reached out.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Now, we began this first with the gamer profile. I just wanted to quickly touch on that. A lot of people will probably know you from Call of Duty, first and foremost, and, you know, with especially the cool background you got there. I know a lot of people probably want to know.
Back there, that guy.
Yeah, I mean, come on, that looks cool. I mean, that definitely looks awesome. I mean, I love that. How did you first, you know, get started with that? Because, you know, we've been fortunate enough to talk to people before who've done, you know, both the voice acting and then acting, you know, in camera. And I know that people have said, you know, the different aspects of it. But overall, how did you first start with the Call of Duty franchise?
Well, it's my only experience with the video game world is Call of Duty. It's an acting job. It's not I'm not a voice actor. I've never done a voice acting job. Woods, from the onset, is an entirely live-action performance capture character. So everything you see happening, you know, in the game actually happened somewhere in a studio. It's not like the old days when you have a stunt guy rolling around, you have a voice guy, then a face guy and does lip sync. It's actors, man. It's an acting job. And that's how I got the gig, is that in 2009, Treyarch was trying to create a more nuanced, a more complex story, and they needed to have actors because they weren't getting the full emotional range from the characters that were basically made out of 3, 4, maybe 5 different people. Cohesiveness in the moment magic that happens wasn't there. So they were testing the technology for full performance capture. Basically, how do they shoot it like a movie? And they hired me to do that. And I worked for maybe 4 months, 3-4 months with them, and they just basically liked me so much. They're trying to cast a couple of big celebrities for it, but they decided in the end that they really liked me. You know, I was the one they wanted to use, and it was a lot cheaper. So.
But overall, would you say that, you know, coming from, because I was reading up, you know, I tried to do a little research, so, you know, I come in knowing what I'm talking about. So I saw that, you know, before acting that, you know, you were a hockey coach and you talked about, you know, just having the fundamentals of success, and it has to do with preparation, practice, things like that. So obviously, if you're going to go into acting, you know your business. You know, you talked about hitting your marks, you know, knowing your lines, things like that. But is there anything that's specific that comes to voice acting? I know that with the technology, you know, you're getting closer to, I guess maybe what you would call your traditional, you know, acting in front of the camera. But is there something that's more different that you had with voice acting?
It is. It's not a voice acting job. I should send you a link. On my YouTube channel, I have some videos from behind the scenes with split screens, and they show you exactly what's happening on set and what happens in the game. There is no voiceover work. I don't go in a box like guys like Troy and those guys. They are voiceover masters, man. They can play 10, 15 different guys. This is all I get. This is what I do. It's an acting job. There is no difference between what I do in Cold. I mean, basically, I went from the set of Black Ops onto the set of Coldwater, and one day the next. There's no difference. It's the same thing. You know, you've got to interact with other actors. You got to be aware of where the camera angles are. You have requirements of space. You have called blocking. You've got your dialogue requirements. You got your director needs you to do certain things and get certain ideas across at certain points. You know, you got to have a line. You got to see this line before you get over here. It's the same way with doing a movie or television or a commercial. It's exactly the same. Working on a video game for me is exactly the same as doing a movie. There's no difference. I mean, I spend maybe half a day in the booth. And that's just to do what's called wild tracks and do battle chatter for the AI part of the game. But for most, it's like Woods does not do any. There's nothing done in a voiceover. Woods. It's all live action.
And for that military persona, that strong, the good grit that you had, I was reading how in like other interviews you talked about how like you brought that, from the teacher hockey background. Can you talk a little bit about that, where you had roles where you brought that experience into different roles that you've had?
Yeah, well, as an actor, all you have is really yourself to draw upon. Is your interpretation of the situation. Like I was a professional hockey coach, and I also worked with youth at risk in the inner city of New York City. So when it comes to Coldwater, I just had to remember how things work, like understand relationships, how certain people act under stress. What were the mistakes I made? What were things that were my successes? And these are things you apply to the role when you do it. Acting is not about going in and just kind of saying a line and hoping you get the lines right. It's about communicating ideas, about communicating, an emotional position. And sometimes it's not the words you say; it's how you say the words. It's your demeanor. And to achieve that, to achieve the proper demeanor of somebody, that's the craft of acting. You're trying to crawl and figure out, why does somebody say that? How do they move? Why do you move like that? And for me, I've been around athletes all my life. I spent a lot of time with the military. I've had the privilege of training with high-end, special operators and soldiers and snipers for roles that I play. So I spent an inordinate amount of time around military personnel, police personnel. I grew up around cops and firemen. These back in the day, these are the very masculine roles. Like I'm an Irishman from back east. That's what we do. We become cops and firemen. So those are people who I know very well, and we're all athletes. Everybody played 3 or 4 sports. That's kind of what we did back then. So there's a certain understanding of teamwork, there's a certain understanding of preparation, process, competition, how to focus on what you're doing in the moment. All these things come into play when you're as an actor, as a person, and in the character that I'm playing with. Woods is very much that way. He's very much disciplined. He's very much focused. And the Colonel in Coldwater, same thing. He's very much focused. He's not long for words like I am. I talk a lot. These guys are very precise when they speak. So that's. Am I making sense here? Because I think I was just babbling for 15 minutes.
No, actually, for me, it's great because I like that kind of inside stuff.
Right.
That kind of stuff appeals to me, and I think that a lot of people like to learn about that kind of a process. I mean, sure. I guess someone from the outside, maybe that inside, I guess inside baseball term, I guess some people use, maybe it doesn't. But I think that a lot of people really need to know that process, and gamers the same way. If you have, your thoughts about a game or a process in someone that has either programming a game or is doing acting for a game, people want to know how you approach it. These are iconic characters. When someone brings a character that you care about. You're playing these games. Some people may think that this is just a first-person shooter that you just play through and then you forget about it. But if you go to these gaming conventions, you see that these people really care about these characters, even if these characters maybe only appear on the screen for maybe a total of 45 minutes of actual time. You still care about them just like you do a character in a movie or a character in a television show. So I really think that they care a great deal about that process. And that kind of leads to my next question. Have you ever been to like conventions or anything like that where people have come up to you and talked to you about your character, and like what was that experience like, if that have happened?
Well, yeah, I've been to dozens of different Comic Cons across the country, and I also Kamar De La Reyes, plays Menendez. He and I travel with the USO frequently. We've been to just got back from Guam. We were in Guam earlier this year. And then prior to, we were in Afghanistan last summer. We were in Turkey. We were and there's a huge following in the military. I mean, it's because most of the military is not combat troops; they are support personnel. I mean, it takes like 22 support personnel to put one soldier into combat. So the infrastructure, and those are the guys who really are big players because there's a lot of downtime. I mean, if you're in, Bagram Airport, and you got an 8-hour shift, there's not much else to do there. Or if you want, so basically what we do is do a handshake tour. And for me, I just like hearing stories. I love the fans. I love the enthusiasm. I love anybody who takes the time to understand what they do. And I find most gamers, you can ask, like, what's your favorite weapon? Boom, what's this? What's your favorite tactic? It's studied. There's a relationship they have to what they're doing. And again, as an athlete, I don't separate gamers from athletes in a very wide margin. I mean, to be good, the little I've played, I noticed to be good, you got to have a hell of a lot of manual dexterity. You got to be able to think fast on your feet. You got to know strategy. You got to understand the environment you're playing in. You got to understand the people you're playing against. Well, that's exactly what it takes to be a good hockey player. All those characteristics. If you're going to be good at something, you can be good at a lot of things. So when people say that games may not be too, help for development, there's a lot of, if they know how to isolate the things that make you good at a video game, you can take those skills and those sort of concepts and translate them into other things in your life. So I became an actor. I just took everything I knew as a hockey coach, and I just reconfigured it as, okay, well, if I'm, how would I use the same ideas, which were very successful for a lot of players, on myself? What's required? Knowledge of the environment. Well, okay, what is the business of acting? What are the skills necessary? What is the mental attitude necessary? Where is my ego causing me problems? And that's the biggest one, to figure out where your ego is causing you problems. If you're too, I'm too whatever to do this. Well, that's your weak spot. That's where you have to go. And as a player, same thing. If you have a weak spot, you got to find out where it is, because once someone else does, you're toast. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that's another great thing is when you meet people who have done things in gaming and they have an appreciation. I mean, I don't think that gamers necessarily has to say that if you do something in gaming that you have to be a huge fan and know every little nuance. I'm definitely not one of those people, and I don't think that most gamers expect that you have to know every single thing. But I think what you'll sometimes find, well, not sometimes, what you'll find is that you'll have some people that kind of almost look at it as if they're too good for it. Like they'll look down, like, oh yeah, I did this gamer thing, but gamers, ew, stay away from me. I just did that, and they kind of look down at gamers. And they I look like Entourage. They did a thing like that where they went to the Comic-Con and they're making fun of gamers, even though they're promoting their show that they hope to make millions off of gamers with. And it's like, really, guys?
Amen. Tolerance starts with yourself. If someone doesn't like what you're doing, so what? Leave. You don't have. I mean, that's the thing. That's my point. Is like I'm not asking someone to be the best in the world. I'm just asking to be committed. You want to be, enjoy something. If you enjoy something, I'll enjoy you enjoying it. And that's what I mean. I love watching guys play the games. Man, I'll go to track and watch guys play for days. Some of the pros come in, and it's like watching a movie. I can watch people play video games for hours on it, especially Black Ops. I mean, I just love watching it. I'm just terrible at it. And for me, I just like enthusiasm. I like people who really enjoy how they spend their time. The thing that makes me crazy, and I'll hit you if you say it, if somebody went, I'm bored, I will knock you. Oh, I hate that. It makes me a lot of options, man. To say you're bored. That's kind of why I stopped coaching hockey. I ran into some kids who I couldn't get to them. I said, you know what? My life's too short. I had a kid say, oh, but I'm bored. I'm like, wow. Oh, the beach is down there. Have a great day. And that was it for me because you can't put your life force into somebody who just doesn't want to do anything. And that's why I find most gamers are really, they're into it. When somebody walks up to you, dressed just like you or dressed like a character from Halo, they're committed, man. They are committed, and I love commitment. That's one of my favorite things. You gotta do something, do it. Commit to it. You have to be the best. To be the best you can be.
Now, as far as the cool thing is that as far as your film Coldwater that's coming out August 15th, you already talked about how you've worked with children, and it's kind of cool how in this film one of the main stories is that you're dealing with children who is going to be helped here in this facility. So can you give the fans of the show an idea of the film that's basically what the overall story is, that kids being helped.
Let me say that for you. It comes out August 15th on iTunes, by the way, and I really recommend. It's a good movie. It's a powerful movie. There's so many young, talented actors in this. Octavius Johnson, he's on Ray Donovan now. He's brilliant. Chris Petrovsky and PJ Budiske, who's kind of the main kid in it. It's brilliant. I mean, and these are guys who are. They're really teenage kids, and they bring a sense of accessibility and vulnerability. It's basically a story about a young man who is on the edge of becoming a thug. Basically, his home life is pretty bad, and he makes a few mistakes, and terrible shit happens. And so finally, in the last ditch effort, his mother sends him to this reform school, basically, and that's where he meets me. And Colonel Riker. It's called Coldwater. And when you meet the colonel, he looks like the kind of guy like, wow, that's a great coach. He's the guy. If you were on football, you want this guy because you can tell he's tough and he's got a sense of humor. But it's like, okay, hey, I know what you got to do. I'm going to make you work, but I'm going to help you. I'm here. I'm on your side. You get that feeling from him. And then all the flaws that people carry with them and the blind spots then start coming out during the movie, and I think it's a really good film for everyone to see, just because no matter what you think, you're going to walk away being affected by it. You're going to laugh, you're going to cringe. There's some things that are just make you cringe, and you're going to think about things. It's a really I'm not going to say it's a fun movie. But it's a movie, when you watch it, you're not wasting your time. It's not like you're going to finish watching the film saying, well, I wish that was no fun. It's like, this is like, wow, it's going to force you to think about things in a different way. And again, there's some fun moments in it, and it's a reflection. I mean, everyone has been in a situation where they could have made a bad decision, or made a bad decision, now you got to pay for the consequences. That's what this is about. It's about actions and about consequences. And how one action, if it's not dealt with properly, leads to another action, and next thing it spirals into total chaos and crisis. And it's an important thing. I mean, you can walk away with a lot of important lessons from this. And you're going to laugh because the Colonel is very much Woods. I mean, you guys who play the game are going to sit there and laugh in places or no one else will laugh because, oh my God, I saw that. I know that there's things that are, I put a lot of woods on the screen. I put a lot of basically Easter eggs for people to find. Like, there's going to be lines that are like, wait, isn't that in the game? You know, but it's used in a different context. So there's a lot of little things like that where you're going to recognize the Colonel. It's not somebody you're going to say, oh my God, that's Woods. And there's an old man Woods in there. There's Woods from Black Ops 1. So there's a lot of I think you're going to like it. I think that if you can see it, you're going to like the film.
And it's one of those things where it's not only about the troubled kids that learn about themselves, but the Colonel himself.
Oh, I mean, again, it's no one spared. I mean, if you have a flaw in your character, it will be the film shows it. The character, the Colonel, basically he just miscalculated things. He just thought that he did just a great job building men in the Marines, that he could easily do it in the real world, out in the world. Problem is that he miscalculated the fact that, what is it? He miscalculated. My phone was buzzing. I thought,
oh.
But basically, it's like technology, man, is messing with me today. So basically, what the Colonel is this. He in the Marines, he had this structure. So when he had it institutionalized, so he had help, he had support. So when he delegated, tasks and duties, people did them right because they're all trained the same way. He doesn't have that same type of support around him, and he thinks he does, and so that's an ego problem. So the Colonel makes some major mistakes, and they come back to really haunt a lot of people. So if the Colonel goes down, okay, the Colonel goes down in a big way in this, but he's fun. You'll get a kick out of it. If you like Woods, you're gonna love the Colonel.
What's it like, overall? I know that people have different reaction working with, like younger people, teenagers and stuff. How was your experience overall?
Oh, it's great. I mean, I can only speak for this experience that I have with these guys. It's phenomenal. It's sensational. All these kids were really focused. They're dedicated. Nobody came to the set not knowing the lines. The good part was we were actually shooting. We were living and shooting in the same place. We were at a summer camp up in the Malibu Hills, and so we lived there. They all slept in bunks. We all ate meals together. We worked around the camp. So we were there for basically 4 weeks. It's like summer camp. So you wake up in the morning, you go to work. Wake up in the morning, go down, eat your breakfast, talk to the director, find out what your scenes are, then you get ready for the day. And I got to say, the performances are exceptional. There's the 3 or 4 main characters are just extraordinary, and even some of the guys who have smaller parts that just because your level gets raised. When everybody starts doing good work, you all want to do good work, and you're all supportive, and there's just a lot of good energy on set. And these guys, and having been a coach, and my favorite group were it's called juniors, guys who are basically 14 through 18. I enjoy that kind of energy, that high testosterone, high energy, and it just really fed the performance. And plus, I was Woods. They all knew I was Woods. It's kind of this like, that's Woods. It's my first day there. I sit at the table all by myself eating, going over lines, and I just see kids like, so finally, one kid like, Mr. Burns, I just want to say, wow, I just really love the game, and it's a pleasure to be working with you. Like, Mr. Burns? What? No. Yeah, he's great. These guys, the whole cast, the crew was great. It was really great. It was a lot of fun. The shoot was special. It was a special project.
Overall, what do you think of like the different mediums for release in technology? Because I mean, obviously earlier today we had the issue with technology, but like I study just different releases and changes of ways that you can see film. Like in this case, being able to watch movies through like Netflix, iTunes, things like that. Have you seen, being there, as an actor? What effect have you seen being able to see and release movies and do movies on so many different platforms? Because maybe in the past people would say, oh, it has to be released on X, but your consumers today are eating it up on Netflix, where maybe 10 years ago people would have laughed and said, internet, no one's watching it on on Netflix, on internet. They're not laughing now.
Well, there's two issues at play. Number one is that the issue of piracy, and that has affected guys like me a lot. All these new avenues are great. In theory, having more places that can sell product should mean there's more work, but that's not how it flakes out. So basically, there's a lot of piracy. So basically, companies aren't making as much money. So smaller projects, they can't make their money back. So that means they have to. So basically, when you spread it out like that, fewer people make more. The money spread out around more people. So it's like the economy. There's this upper part that's getting really, really rich, and there's the bottom part that's just surviving. And these guys in the middle were just kind of disappearing. You know what I mean? And it gets harder and harder to make a living as an actor, because it's like there's jobs are paying less and less and less because they can only have a certain amount of budgets because Netflix only pays a certain amount. So there's a monetary element here that makes professional actors like myself wow, it's harder to make a living now, even though there's more opportunity. It's harder to make a living, and more star act, like now with video games. You got Kevin Spacey come in, Ellen Page, Willem Dafoe, doing the roles that So basically, there's this there's migration into these other markets. Like Kevin Spacey's who's doing Advanced Warfare. He's on a Netflix series, right?
Yeah, House of Cards.
That's a big deal because those are usually low-paying jobs. So you got to pay one star a lot of money, and everyone else has got to take less money. Tom Cruise makes $25 million. The rest of us make scale, which sounds like a lot, but if you only work 10 days a year, it's not. You know what I mean? So you have this thing happening in the business where a lot of people are just struggling to stay afloat in business, and all these new ways of delivering content. Everyone's got to take a piece out of it. So it's good. In a creative sense, it's great because you can basically you can get something out there and get it done. But it's like the music business. It's harder and harder to make a living in the industry unless you're a superstar. Anybody below a Beyonce or Jay-Z, it's tough. I know a lot of really major actors and musicians that struggle to make a living, and you'd be shocked. They go, wait a minute, you're a star. Yeah, well, you don't sell records anymore. It's hard to make a living. So it's great for those who have access to lots of money to overproduce, and it's great for people who have no money who want to get involved in an amateur way. There's a portal for it. But it's kind of killing the middle class of the industry. And the only fix for this is just stop complaining and get on the other side of the camera. Start making product. So everyone. I think at some point, years in the future, I think everyone's going to be their own exporter of product. I mean, YouTube is kind of doing that now, and I think entertainment's going that direction where people are more interested in what's real than what's manufactured. People do some really dopey shit on YouTube, and they get millions and millions of hits for it. I mean, it's dopey, stupid shit, like stuff if you like. 20 years ago, you'd probably put him in a psych ward for it. Now he's rewarded with a reality show. So it's just changing the way people interact, and it changes the business of entertainment. End of the day, man, this is entertainment. We're not curing cancer. We're not fixing the global warming. We're dancing and singing. That's all it is. It's entertainment.
Now, I'd be remiss if I don't ask you about this before we let you go. Tell us about Nam Zombies.
Nam Zombies. My God. I love zombies. I love woods. I've done so much research on Vietnam I mean, just hundreds and hundreds of hours of watching videos, talking to soldiers, talking to special forces guys who were actually in SOG, who were Green Berets and things. And I just have a real affinity for that time frame, for the politics, for the evolution of technology, military, industrial complex ideas. I wrote a script because I had all this information bubbling. I just sat down and started writing the script out, and it's great. It's called Non-Zombies. It's about a special forces team that is engaged by the CIA to go and check out this research facility. It's supposed to be a secret radar installation, but it's actually a research facility. And it goes dark, and they're sent on a mission to find out why it went dark. And then when they get there, they find zombies. Now, what's cool about it is it's all based on science, on legit science. So the zombies these are new kind of zombies, nothing you've seen before. It's a whole different type of zombie. It's a plausible zombie. It's based on real science that exists. You can do research on it. The scenario is set up. It's the facility itself is an actual facility. It existed during the 1969 Vietnam War. The scenario, the geopolitics, and the geoeconomic elements are all verifiable. They're all real. They've all relationships that exist. Things I found in my research. So when you watch this, it's kind of a think Predator meets Resident Evil. Have a kid, and the kid's adopted by Platoon or Full Metal Jacket. You know what I mean?
Those are great films.
Yeah, and it has all this. 3 of my favorite films. So imagine that relationship. That's what you have here. It's a lot of fun. I have several actors who've read it, and everybody's dying to do it because it's a really fun movie. There's a lot of good humor in it. There's a lot of great zombie battles. There's some zombie battles that are just extraordinary. I mean, sometimes I sit back, I go, oh my God, I can't wait to shoot this. I can't wait for people to see what happens in this scene because there's things you don't expect, and they seem like everyone says the same thing. There's some funny parts, and there's just some really horrible parts. And the lead character is a guy named Griff. He's a Marine sergeant, special forces guy in his early 40s, and he's Woods basically, and he has his own little quirks, and all the characters are really fun. So right now we just gotta find money. You know, every time I rewrite it, the budget goes up because I gotta have the helicopters. I can't shoot without helicopters, or I gotta have this scene where they blow this up. So every time you do that, that's another couple $100,000. So this idea that we're supposed to start off at $500,000, which is a lot of money, but to make a movie, it's doable. Now it's like it's going to be a couple $1 million. It's harder to find. There's a lot of work to be done, and so that's what we're doing right now, just trying to find the money. So if you got a rich uncle who wants to get in the film business, let me know.
Hey, there's always Kickstarter. I mean, that movie sounds so awesome. I'm sure you get some backing on that, and we'll definitely help you with that.
Actually, I did that last summer. Prematurely. Mostly I did it so I could get the word out about Non-Zombies. So we did a Kickstarter last summer. Didn't do well. It's comically low. The problem with Kickstarter is this. The audience that we have doesn't have the capability of getting the money into Kickstarter because it's kind of a complicated thing. You got to put a credit card in, or it's just complicated, And I was doing submissions like $1. It's hard for people to give a dollar or even 10 on a credit card because if you're a kid, you don't have a credit card, and our audience is basically what guys, 10 to 18, right? So not everybody has a credit card, and mom may not want to give you her credit card to finance a film. I mean, there's so many. We found so many complications with trying to get people, because we had a lot of people interested in helping out, but they just couldn't get us the money. Can I send you $1 in an envelope? No. My idea is, oh my God, I can see 1 million envelopes coming to my house with $1 in it. It's like, wow, okay, that I would take it, but that's going to be a lot of complications, you know. So,
It probably costs more logistics just to handle all that intake.
you know, you're probably right. That's not an issue too. Is like the logistics of financing that. So we'll figure it out. I mean, well, I'm sure there's somebody out there who's. We'll see. I have faith.
Well, I mean, definitely. I mean, it was great talking with you, and we definitely would love to have you back. You know, anytime to talk about anything. I mean, we could definitely talk all day about all types of projects, but we definitely want to keep up on your future project, and especially on your zombie project, because I want to see what happens with that. So we'd love to have you back on anytime you have some time.
Well, stay in touch. Just keep tracking the Sergeant Franklin's YouTube channel. I'm going to put up a 5-part series talking about the future. It's called The Burns Report, Call of Duty and Beyond. So it's just going to be me talking about the future of games and this things that the inside information that I know and things that I see happening within the industry that your viewers may be very interested in hearing what I got to say. Some really great stuff's happening, and none of it the stuff's going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years that you have no idea, wouldn't expect. I mean, there's leaps in technology, and the gaming industry is going to change in such a ways that you won't recognize it. And I'm going to tell you what that's going to be. I had some great conversations this summer with a lot of my tech friends, the guys who do all the creation of the hardware, and there's some amazing things about to happen in the industry. So I'll tell you about those.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The movie is Coldwater, and it will be out on iTunes on August 15th. So I hope everyone will check it out. We're going to have this podcast video up on our site with articles and links to everything. So don't worry, there will be plenty of information and links for you to find everything we've been talking about. I just want to thank you again, James, for coming on and talking with us, even with all the technology problems. And hopefully we'll be talking soon again.
We did good. We handled it, right? We handled it.
Like professionals.
No, we did the old-fashioned way. We got on the goddamn phone, and we talked.
That's right.
We talked with 2 people on the phone, and we can manage anything.
We used older technology to get the new technology working.
It's a thing of beauty.
Awesome. So we'll be back with another episode of Obsolete Gamer Show very soon. But until next time, I'm your host, Jay LaRock, and remember our motto, never stop gaming. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Jay. Bye-bye.